Welcome to episode 45 of The Leap Home. Private Dancer.
In this week's episode, Sam has to save a young deaf girl from the clutches of a club owner who wants her to work as a stripper and his partner who wants to pimp her out to clients. Seeing her promise as a dancer, Sam persuades her to audition at a prestigious dance school. But will her talent prove to be enough? Or will Sam find it impossible to persuade someone to give her a chance?
What are you doing? Sign language, see? This means boring. Oh, I thought you ran out of Kleenex or something.
Good evening, Ian. How are things?
Not too bad. Fully stocked with Kleenex.
That's always a sign that you've been bored.
Oh, indeed. That's what folk are thinking about this opening part of the podcast. This is a bit boring.
And the end part, and the less said about the middle, the better.
Well, the middle's where it gets good, but nobody reaches that part. Creepy Sam is back with a vengeance.
First note I've got here is Sam up to his old tricks.
What a...
Harassing, hugging...
manhandling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Forcing vulnerable women to do things against their will.
Ignoring their explicit instructions to leave them alone.
Yes.
Not one for consent, or Sam.
No. Not when he thinks he's in the right morally.
He knows the future. He can do what he wants.
He knows what's best for people.
He just becomes Machiavellian at that point.
He does.
Apparently there was a liberal use of painkillers here to get Scott Bakula through the dancing when he had his sore ankle.
Was it him doing the dancing himself?
Apparently. He likes to show off his skills.
There were some skills. I was quite impressed. A lot was cringy.
Oh, it was deeply cringy. It was like Dad at a wedding.
Yeah.
Or Uncle Knobhead at a wedding.
Is that Peter Kay?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. With his cigarette burns. Yeah. What have you been up to this week anyway?
Watching snooker mostly.
Yep, same. I'm just back from the Crucible.
Yes. By the time people hear this, they will not remember that the snooker was on.
I only caught 5 frames. That's how snooker goes. You can't predict.
Yeah, you pay the same money whether you're going to get a full session.
Yeah.
And potentially an extended session. You can get all 8 frames on your table and then 4 on the other one if they take longer.
And of course, due to the nature of the sport, it's not time constrained, so you could have hours and hours. Yeah, I got about 2.5 hours, I think.
Well,
lucky.
You were dreading it going too long, though.
Well, that's it. Watching Mark Selby, see, I love, discuss this with you, and I know that, again, the listeners love a snooker chat, but I love a tactical game. I love a
traditional.
Yes, and Selby's brilliant to watch doing that when you're at home, when you're lying in your bed
with snacks. You
can go to the toilet, you can glance at the iPad, you can go downstairs for a bit, you can have a chat. But when you're sitting there and you're thinking, yeah, just wrap this frame up. Well, yeah, I don't want to be sitting here for an hour for one frame.
No.
So I'd prefer the shorter version if I had to choose than an 8-hour drudge with Mark.
Yeah. But he's going to win it, isn't he?
I think he will win it now, yeah.
Yeah, which will be profitable for me.
Will it?
Well, it depends. Because there are contests. If you win the final round, it will go to the fallback method and you'll win a tenner. Yeah,
we've got our yearly annual side.
9th annual this year.
Our bets and I go, yeah.
We'll have to celebrate next year by doubling the prize pot.
The cost of living and all that. Inflation. We have to.
It's the 10th one next year. It'll need to be.
Have to put everything up. And I think we spotted one of our loyal listeners.
Well, either Brian was in the audience at the Crucible when he said he was going to be, or somebody else was in a Retro Morton shirt at the same time as he was there. It seems deeply unlikely.
Yeah. Brian, let us know.
Yeah. Telephone. Yeah, I'll give you Jerry's number, so
what's up?
Use that. Before we get into this episode of Quantum Leap, social media, where we expect to hear from Brian. We're on Twitter. We're at Leap Home Podcast. That's also our handle on Instagram. You can find us at The Leap Home on Facebook, and there's show notes for every episode on theleaphome.com. If you want to get ahead of the pack, you can go to Columbo Podcast Productions on YouTube, where each episode is released 1 week ahead of the podcast. You can subscribe and hit the little bell there. You will be alerted on a Wednesday morning when it comes out, and everybody will be pleased.
Can we do a live show on Periscope?
Yes.
Good.
Shall we find out how creepy Sam's been?
Let's crack on.
Usual intro. I think the tag is the same as we saw at the end of last week's episode.
But listen, before we get right into this, I forgot a couple of episodes ago to make a point that I'm going to bring up.
that doesn't make any sense.
It does. In 8.5 months, we had the friend Dottie, I think her name was.
Yes, the hairdresser.
Sorry, it's just that she reminded me of a young Angela Lansbury.
Okay, good to know.
Yep. So I just have to point. I've taken a note in my notes and
It
forgot to
reminded
say
you
it.
so much.
It did.
That it's
I saw
taken
her.
you a
Yeah.
month.
No, I saw a clip of it because it was on my device, and I thought, oh yeah, Angela Lansbury. I need to make that point because it annoyed me. She looks like a young Angela Lansbury, or there are some episodes of Murder She Wrote when Angela Lansbury or Jessica Fletcher plays a relative, like an out of town cousin or something like that. And yes, so anyway, Angela Lansbury.
If you'd said it at the time, folk were like, "Oh yeah," but now they're like, "What did she look like? Do you remember? Did she the one with the blonde perm?"
Yeah.
Anyhow, as we were saying, same tag as we had at the end of last week's episode, Sam literally falls into this leap and is surrounded by some very voracious and, would you say, lustful women?
I would suggest that he is immediately being sexually assaulted by a number of horny old women, well, just doing his job on stage, dressed as Zorro and as a Chippendale.
I wouldn't say they were necessarily old women.
They used to give that vibe. It's when you get a gaggle of women at these strip clubs. They just look like an old woman. Stop it. Calm down, hen. Look at you. State of that.
The club.
It's in the same way. I mean, we've discussed this before. You see it in the movies, and I don't really know if people act like that at strip clubs, but you know, they get in American movies. You get the guys going, oh, cheering and going crazy because they've seen a bit of boob, right? You think, nah, it's not. Stop it. What are you, a 12-year-old boy? Well, even these, a 12-year-old boy will have far more access options. Yeah, but you know, you just see him going crazy, and it's the same with this, and it's just terrible. Like these women going mental for stripper.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he has been sexually assaulted.
Yes.
If it was a female stripper and guys were groping the hell out of you, the bouncers would have been there. You'd be getting lobbed out for
Not
sure.
allowed. And when we hear it later on, the guy says it's look and no touch.
Yeah,
during working hours.
Should be.
And the guy who goes on to say that is the owner of the club, Mario, who's emceeing this event and asks for an ovation for Rod the Bod.
I guarantee that is a name of many strippers, male strippers.
It's not very imaginative, is it?
No, it's not, but I mean, his nicknames never are.
We get an oh boy from Sam, the usual credits, and we're back at the club on October the 6th, 1979, and Sam reflects somewhat strangely, and it seems to me a bit of a non sequitur, about Roman gladiators, or slaves who fought gladiators to earn their freedom. I'm not sure I see the analogy to his present situation.
Nah, I suppose he's got to fight off these wild animals. Although I would suggest, and I think there is almost a nod to it here, they're almost like zombies in a typical zombie movie where they're you hide behind a door and you open up the door and they're still there with their arms and you've got to push them back and close the door.
Yeah,
that's what it's like. They're harassing this guy to his changing room.
They do. They chase him all the way there. He's covering himself. He's not naked. He's still got his underwear on, but for some reason decides to cover himself further with his hat and his boot for it. And once again, as he tries to leave the stage, he's grabbed and I've noted potentially sexually assaulted by a group of the women. So
he makes his way to the changing room.
As he does, though, we see Al show up in the background and start dancing to the music.
Oh, yeah, he's loving himself, and I'm sure being surrounded by energised women would not go down too badly with him.
Yeah.
Probably not the right turn of phrase there.
No, I think the less time we spend thinking about phrases for this particular scene, the better.
Okay.
In the dressing room, Sam, as you said, kind of fights his way in, closes the door, and we see that his underwear is filled with money, and he's covered in lipstick marks. Although, strangely, when he looks in the mirror, his reflection is not covered in lipstick marks.
Is it not? Oh, right.
Probably because it's just an aura.
Oh, let's not. Let's not. Anyway, he sees himself as a handsome, as you'd expect, young chap.
One of those Chippendale guys, that's what he calls himself.
Yeah, now, I don't know if you get trivia for us later on, but we mentioned last week, I think, it was surprising that Chippendales will be a trademark.
I would have thought so, yeah. I was quite surprised that it's just used as a generic term in this episode.
Yeah.
I don't have any trivia on it.
Okay.
Al tells him that he is Rod the Bod. He used to be a football player at USC in California until he hurt his knee, and since then he's been touring with the Chippendales, and Sam asks him with an air of desperation, tell me it's not the 70s.
Yeah, and he's dismayed to hear that it is in fact October the 6th, 1979, and he's in New York. But Al thinks that most guys would love to be in his position.
Yeah, he says they would kill to be in a room of screaming, sex-crazed women. I'm not sure that's true.
No, wouldn't kill for it. And again, it really depends who the women are.
Yeah, and who they're looking for.
Far from me to make any assumptions, but I'm guessing that the typical audience member of these places, just like in the reverse with strip clubs for guys, the clientele isn't who you would necessarily choose to go after if you had options. Fat middle-aged women.
Well, let's not, like we say, let's not talk too much about that particular crowd.
Okay.
And we'll move on with Al once again saying that Ziggy needs more time. Convenient.
Very convenient.
24 hours. This isn't, I noted this, I made a note that this is not ideal, because quite often the leap is resolved within 24 hours. And if Ziggy needs 24 hours to work out what's going on, he could miss it.
Yeah.
But until then, Al advises Sam to simply shake his booty and then leaves.
Now fully clothed, Sam takes a few compliments at the bar as he orders a beer.
He's slipped into this character really easily, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Sometimes he's a bit, oh, what should I do? What should I say? This time, I'm going to go out there, watch these women and have a beer.
Well, maybe if we go back, let's not get into discussion about the order and what have you, but if he takes on some of the personality and the spirit of a person, this is a guy who's obviously very confident, he looks good, and he has to perform on stage naked or partially naked, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's a strange incident here with a waitress.
What's that?
A barman tells her to hang around, she's picking up drinks, he says there's a margarita coming, just hold on, and she ignores him and walks off, and he complains to Mario, the owner, that she's been doing this all night.
Yeah, his new broad that he's hired.
And Mario says it shows that she has good taste, that she's ignoring this guy. I think we find out this guy's name's Otto.
Yeah. He also tells Otto not to worry, as she'll be an exotic dancer in quotation marks shortly, and asks Rod to confirm this.
Yeah, but the barman doesn't like the term exotic dancer.
No.
He says he prefers to call his car a Rolls, but it ain't. It's not quite the same thing, is it?
No, that's a misrepresentation, I suppose.
What's the difference between a stripper and an exotic dancer?
Is this not being an exotic dancer is maybe a nod to the other acts she's expected to perform? Maybe Otto knows that.
Oh, I don't know. But he just says stripper at this point.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, a woman who we later learn is called Val, I believe, approaches Sam and says that she enjoyed his pratfall off the stage and it seemed real, and he says that it felt real. That's what we saw when he leapt in. Obviously, he was in the middle of something that Sam wasn't able to do, and he fell off the stage.
I think at this point we can see Sam is enjoying himself.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's quite comfortable in this character.
And at this point, Valerie, she invites Sam to ditch his next gig and stay working with them. So he's obviously very good at his job and he brings in the customers.
Yes, she says that they can make it interesting for him, so that maybe suggests an increased cut or a higher fee.
Or maybe do they want him to perform as a gigolo as well, perhaps?
I don't think when he's got a touring act, I think they're making a lot of money from what he's doing, is what they're saying here.
Yeah.
So they just want this act to come back.
Sure. He declines and he walks away and notices quite a scummy male customer grab the waitress's arm and...
A mulleted man?
Yes. She doesn't respond to him.
Yeah, Sam intervenes, telling the guy not to get too friendly with the waitresses before accompanying her across the room and introducing himself as Rod.
Yeah, and he only gets a polite response that her name is Diana before she gets back to work.
Meanwhile, there's a woman in a white dress dancing.
This is really weird. It's just a strange thing that happens here.
There's a couple of strange things about this.
Okay, so she's in the centre of the dance floor going for it and Sam joins her.
Well, he's a professional dancer.
But it's Sam.
I don't know. Yeah, Sam gets involved. But what's more strange is that the waitress starts dancing.
Okay, yeah, before she does, it's not just dancing. We're not talking about a little shuffle here. He starts popping flips and pulling moves and...
Yeah,
it's
Painkiller's doing a lot of work here.
Yeah, he's got a massive grin on his face. So, how can he do this? It's not... If he is just if it's just an aura and it's actually Sam...
Maybe Sam's a good dancer.
It's not just that.
It's never been implied that he's not.
It's not ballroom stuff here. He's doing stuff that put your back out.
Well, maybe he was an original BG.
Yeah. Anyway, as you say, this encourages the waitress to join them. At first I thought she was trying to sort of sidle up to Sam.
No, she's trying to show off her dancing.
Yeah. But unfortunately for her, another guy, he steps in to dance with her before she's led off the floor by the annoyed Mario.
Yeah, because she's meant to be working.
I'm going to say this right now. She's an idiot, this waitress. There's a couple of we'll get to why, but she's not very bright.
Not logical, anyway.
No, it's worse than that. She's stupid. I don't. No, and that's nothing to do with we find out her big thing. But she's an idiot.
Okay. Once she's gone,
Like no, sorry, not just let this pass. She's working. Why would she think it's acceptable? She's working in a club as a waitress just to get up there and start dancing. Oh yeah, the boss will be fine with that.
well, he's got her dancing the next night, so maybe she thinks he's okay with people dancing.
Anyway,
Maybe she couldn't resist the music.
well, she should have to resist it. Again, there's lots of things that I would like not to resist, but it's not right, so I do resist it.
Such as after the woman in white finishes dancing, she and a friend in a red dress invite Sam to sit with them.
Yeah, we find out that the main woman here, she runs apparently the best modern jazz dance company in the country.
She invites Sam to her open trials that are coming up the next day or the day after, I think.
Yeah, and don't accept that he can't dance. What a stupid thing to say. Why are you saying this now? You've just got up and started dancing and pulling all these
false
moves.
modesty. He wants
and
them
then
to
saying,
praise him.
I can't dance.
Oh, I can't dance, he says.
Yeah.
Dancing.
He's a professional dancer. I mean, he gets paid to dance.
Yeah. He tells them that that's just work.
But so is all dancing. I mean, she's asked him to come for an audition to work.
Yeah. He kind of fobs them off a wee bit there with maybe I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And, meanwhile, sees the mullet man giving Val a card.
Yeah. This highlights as well. This is a woman who's confident and taking the lead. Sam can't have that.
The dancing woman?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, Sam needs to be in control.
Yeah. She needs to be vulnerable. She needs to be needy.
Yeah.
There's this woman here who's clearly hot for him, wants to get involved, and he's like, no. But I'll see someone over there who's, younger and...
He's got a saviour complex.
Yes.
That's what you would say. Well, that's how you got into this in the first place.
Anyway, he nervously excuses himself, and he walks over to where this mullet creep is.
No, he doesn't. He sees this in the distance, this mullet guy giving a business card to Val, but he goes to the bar where he helps Diana communicate with the barman.
Because apparently she's ignored him again, and so he taps her arm and she responds. The barman apparently doesn't know what's the matter with Diana and tells her so, but Sam has worked out that she's deaf, which Al explains is the reason for his leap.
Diana? Yeah, Diana Quinna. She was raised in Wyoming, and she spent 10 years at the Cheyenne School for the Deaf. And then she ran away in the middle of her senior year.
She never graduated from high school?
No, she came to New York a year and a half ago, and since then, she hasn't been able to keep one job that she got.
Well, what about her parents? Aren't they looking for her?
No, they died in a car crash when she was 7, and she suffered a severe head injury. That's how come she lost her hearing.
How am I going to help her?
Well, there's a couple of ways. Next month, she gets arrested for prostitution.
What?
I'm afraid so. And before it's over, she gets arrested 26 times.
That's terrible, Al.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. When you said before it's over?
Well, it's over in 86 when she dies of AIDS.
So an escalating scale there from Al of problems that are facing Diana.
Yeah, prostitute, I can sort that, yeah. Multiple cases of arrest, right, okay, well, let's deal with it.
Death from AIDS. Oh,
What?
has she already got AIDS? Have I got AIDS?
Anyway. So Sam wonders how she can become a prostitute, but Al laughs at this, as apparently there are not many options in New York for a single girl without a family. Apparently it's either...
That's something, isn't it? That's a statement and a half.
Yeah, that's what it actually says.
Yes. He's a California guy. He must think differently about New York than the people who actually live there.
If you go to New York and you don't have a family and you're quite young, you have to become... It's like Blackadder. I want you to become a prostitute.
She's literally waitressing right now.
Yeah, she can get jobs. Well, she can't, because we'll get to that. That's because she's an idiot.
Well, there's that. There is that.
Yeah.
We skip ahead to the office, the back office, where Sam is telling Mario, the owner we saw earlier, that Diana is deaf. So he refers to her as a deaf stripper, and Sam corrects him to say, no, deaf waitress.
Yeah, and wants her to remain as such. He ignores this.
It's not really person first language, is it?
No.
They're a wee bit dated in their
Yeah.
approach to this. Anyway, yes, Mario reckons that as a stripper, she could pull in $200 a night.
No, and I think Sam calls Mario a pimp.
Well, when Mario claims to be an equal opportunities employer, Sam says, no, it makes you a pimp. And he's like, no. Look but don't touch. And what you do outside of office hours is up to you.
However, he admits that what they do for tips after dancing is their business, and then grins as he suggests that Sam is just trying to fire into Diana himself, and it would be accurate.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, death's only one letter away from dead. He's bound to be interested. He offers Mario a deal. He says if he forces Diana to keep waitressing and not show up at bachelor parties to dance, Sam will cancel his next gig and dance here for Mario.
See, I don't understand this deal, why this is attractive to Mario.
Because he made a lot. He's going on earlier about wanting Sam to stick because he makes a lot of money from it.
Yeah, but that's only for one. He's got to cancel his next gig.
Yeah.
And dance there for one night.
Yeah.
But he can make a lot out of Diana over the years.
Can he?
Well, if you're a pimp, that's your job, isn't it? That's what you do.
Well, he probably thinks there's another girl show up next week. He might as well take the big payday from Sam while it's on offer. Mario shakes on this and says, "Call me Monty Hall."
Yeah.
Do you get the reference?
Yes. Monty's Choice, that's the famous thing. He's a game show host.
Oh, he hosted Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
So they're making a deal.
Yeah,
I don't really think it's a reference to the Monty Hall problem.
No, it's not. But that's what I'm just saying.
That's why he's well known for.
That's why we know. We never saw him as a TV host.
No.
We only know him through this Monty's Choice
Don't
problem.
explain the Monty Hall problem.
No.
My notes say prompt Gerry to talk about the Monty Hall
I'm
problem.
not doing that. The amount of times I've had to do this with people.
I mean, it doesn't make logical sense.
Diana wouldn't get it.
Always change your mind every time.
Even when you lay it out. I remember once talking to an accountant about this,
But what if you picked the right one first?
and they couldn't get it. And even after explaining how the logic behind it, they couldn't get it. I thought, you're our accountant. This isn't good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The club is now empty. We get this sort of weird intro, sort of 80s style, where a tape is put in the deck, the volume's turned up, the bass is turned up, and music starts to play. And we see it's Diana.
yeah, she's dancing on stage to Stevie Wonder.
She's got her hands on the speaker.
Yeah, now this is, what was the famous Scottish deaf Evelyn Glennie?
Yeah.
And that's how she played. She was a percussionist.
Yeah, and you would possibly think of the woman who won Strictly a couple of years ago that was
I
deaf.
wouldn't know. I've no
a
idea.
lot of people, that would be their popular cultural reference.
okay.
Rose.
Never heard of
I
her.
can't remember her surname.
Never watched Strictly, that's why.
She was deaf. She won Strictly and did this big thing where in the middle of one of the dances they turned the music off and
Right.
kept dancing.
Was she the best dancer, or was it a sympathy vote?
She probably was one of the best anyway.
One of the best. Okay.
It's all subjective, isn't it, when you get to
But they do love in these programmes, they do love a sort of
a story.
tearful backstory, don't they, about how they overcame adversity and all this type of stuff, yeah.
Well, they didn't do that when Anne Widdecombe was on. Oh, she's overcome obesity.
And our foolishness. Because she hasn't overcome that, that's why.
Exactly.
Story scumbag.
Moving on. Sam wanders in and starts perving on her.
Well, that's the thing. This is the start of it. Yeah, and as soon as she spots him, she feels uncomfortable.
Yep.
And stops doing the dance, tries to go away. And I think tells him, don't spy on me. And that's right.
Yeah.
You know, you're creeping in the shadows here.
Very, very creepy. He offers to walk her home, but uses the wrong sign language.
Yeah, he does his bumbling thing that he does. It's a little bit like a really crap Columbo, isn't it? That's how he approaches things.
She's really not interested here. She teaches them the correct sign language for walk home and then the sign language for bye.
Yes.
Take a hint, Sam.
Yeah. But he goes after her and tells her it's too dangerous. He's a patronising...
Is that... No, it's too dangerous to walk home in New York.
Well, in the 70s through Central Park, it probably would have been, but for everyone, not just for her, you can't...
Yeah, well, she asks if she wants, or if he wants her to protect him, which I thought was quite a nice response.
Yeah, here's the thing, but he knows she doesn't get attacked and murdered. That's not... Because he knows her fate.
Yeah.
So he
It's a line.
He shouldn't be worried about this, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's not worried about this. He just wants to walk her home so he can talk to her. Anyway, he asks her if she's always sarcastic, and another good line, she says, only with people who won't let me go home.
Yeah, it really is.
She could not be clearer here what she wants. She wants Sam to leave her alone.
And it's a terrible approach by Sam, because from her point of view, she's just being hit on by this probably a sleazy guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's always just gets lots of women thrown at him.
Yeah.
So you think, okay, I need to back off here. She's not going to appreciate if you're too full on.
But apparently his answer to this is to push harder.
Yeah, because we're now in the park where Sam goes full on creep, and rather than let her
He's
go,
following her.
he follows her outside and into a... This is the type of thing that, this is the start of a serial killer or some sort of murder, where you get followed into the park and then all sorts of nasty things happen to you.
It's interesting though, was it not the episode with the blind character
Yes.
when he was last in a park getting attacked?
Yeah.
Is this just a thing people with sensory issues go to parks?
Well, maybe that's because they're not as scared.
Maybe.
So, but
Diana turns on her heel, spins, faces Sam and says, stop following me.
again, you have to, because leaving aside all the leap stuff, if there's any cops or passers-by around,
Yeah.
you're look like a right wrong in here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So just, we'll try this tomorrow. I'll take a different approach during the daytime. I'm not going to follow. Me as a muscular, sleazy dancer
I
type.
can resist following for
I'm
one
not
night.
going to follow a deaf teenage girl into a park, which she's told me not to a few times now. Just stop it.
It's not even that there's some sense of urgency here, because he's trying to stop her from dying of AIDS in 5 years' time, 6 years' time.
Yeah.
It's not like...
No, but the slippery slope is obviously shortly she takes her first step into prostitution.
Sure, but you can still stop her after that if you had to.
Leave it until tomorrow. That's all we're saying here.
Yeah.
Don't.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be resolved tonight.
No.
Sam claims he's not following her. He says he's just here to buy a hot dog.
That's what a murderer would say.
Yes.
Or at least, at the very best, a serial stalker type.
And he offers to buy her a hot dog, but she's vegetarian.
Until the vendor recognises her and offers her
Outs her as
usual.
a hot dog eater,
Yeah.
yes. And at this point, Sam takes this as some kind of victory, which is really, really sleazy and creepy. I really was a bit sickened by it.
I've caught you out lying, therefore you'll
have to listen to me now.
We're equal now.
Yeah. I've been following you, even though you said leave me alone, but you lied about eating hot dogs.
Yeah, because I didn't want you to follow me. I'm trying to get away from you, you creep.
Yeah. But no, Sam's taking this. Now he's got the high ground. It's unbelievable behaviour. She, with her hot dog, walks away and he follows her again before eventually she breaks down and talks to him.
Yeah, they both eat their hot dogs, and I think Sam learns the sign language for thank you and you're welcome. And as they walk, he asks her why she doesn't tell people that she is deaf.
Yes, and she says, why should I, basically, if people treat me like I'm different?
Or have a disease or
the
something.
plague, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why you should. This is why I think she's an idiot here. Not because she's deaf, obviously. She's a waitress, or she's getting a job in being a waitress. And never mind what type of job it is. You can't hide deafness from people because
It could be important.
it's just anything. No, you just can't do it. Like if you just ignore people. But specifically taking a job as a waitress where part of the job is to be shouted for from people in all directions all the time.
Yeah.
How long do you think you... It's one of the worst jobs.
Well, I mean, that said,
Maybe a sound engineer would be a worse job. But
I've worked in a bar before and you can't hear anyway. So maybe she just thought she would blend in and try and lip read.
Lip read. So you have to be looking at every single person constantly. Over here, I'm next here. Pint. No, you're a moron thinking you can hide. No one will notice you're deaf. And I'm sorry as well, deaf people and her, there's obviously a cadence, a style of how deaf people talk generally.
Well, I didn't understand this because Al said that she went deaf at the age of 7. Surely she'd already learned to speak by then.
But I'm not sure if...
Because you can't hear yourself. Maybe it's
over
I don't
time
know how
it just
works.
becomes... Yeah. So as soon as you start talking, you go, oh, that's a deaf person. What is she trying to do here?
Blend in, not have to worry about being deaf. for a
No,
while.
but you're not blending in. You're attracting attention to yourself because you're being a terrible, terrible waitress.
The good news is she definitely doesn't listen to podcasts, so she can't.
What's I'm saying? No, I wasn't going to make a joke about this. We can insult deaf people because they can't. It's a bit like the time where we had a joke about the Amish and the Sledgehammer podcast.
They're not allowed podcasts, are they?
Yeah, they're not like technology. They won't listen to us either.
That's absolutely fine.
Of course, we are not laughing at people with disabilities. We're laughing at
This specific
person who has made a stupid decision where she thinks she can hide deafness in a role which requires you to be a very good hearer.
Listener, anyway, yeah. That said, Sam's response is incredibly manipulative.
What did he say?
He says that maybe people just don't want to feel stupid when they treat you that way. What?
I've taken a note here as well. I don't get this. He says he doesn't know how to talk to her. She's deaf. It's not some strange, crazy, weird... It's like, oh, what? How do I deal with that? We've all met and interacted with deaf people generally. It's not something that's so outrageous that you go, I don't know how to act about a deaf person.
I know, he takes it so... I don't think he even believes this stuff. He's just saying it for something to say to get her attention.
Yeah.
Anyway, he asks her if that's why she didn't understand Otto, who she refers to as Walrus, and asks how she's supposed to read his lips with all that hair over them.
Good point, that. Never really thought about it.
Well, he's not trying to be lip read.
But, good point, and exactly. So there's another example. If you'd let Otto know, then he would make it clear and he would maybe even shave a bit of his...
Yeah. Sam decided this is a great time to find out more about deafness.
What does he do?
He asks what she can hear.
Yeah.
She talks about white noise and vague sounds and rhythm and beat when there's music playing and vibrations. She says that dancing feels to her like a dream, and he's like, oh, it must be terrible not being able to hear music. Yeah. I thought that was quite harsh.
No, I quite like that description because, yeah, what she said was she can feel the rhythm, the beat, but no Elvis. I thought that was good.
Yeah. Anyway, she says that she knows music in a way that he will never know it, and sees it everywhere, and goes on this sort of weird rant about the sparkly stars and the watery water. And
Is that true? Surely that's just the same as... Well, you could lose the vocals, couldn't you? And you can... I think a lot of dance... I mean, I'm not a dance music fan, but I think a lot of dance music is, if you're at a club, it would be the vibrations and the beat.
I don't know.
You don't necessarily have to be listening to the high ends. I don't know what I'm talking about, to be fair.
The scene ends with creepy Sam pawing her face.
Oh, why is he so touchy? I mean, these days, you cannot get away with that. If you start touching people, no matter how innocently you think you're doing it,
Yeah,
strangers...
people have got the right to a bit of not being touched.
That's what I'm
some
saying.
kind of exclusion zone.
Back then, you might have got away with this, but these days, you cannot just start touching people
No.
on the face.
Yeah. I suppose it shows how bad things were back then by the fact that she just puts up with this.
You have to also understand each individual person. It's different. If
He's
it was,
only just met this woman.
well, but if it had been the more confident woman from the dance, she might have been up for a bit of face touching.
Or she might have told him to leave my face alone.
But we know that she could certainly she wouldn't be shy in saying I like that or don't like that, and
Yeah.
she's a powerful person and confident, and it'd been in a,
No, but
in a
Sam
club.
only ever goes for vulnerable
But
people
Sam's doing this to a teenager, out of town, deaf girl.
who he knows is on the verge of being
Yeah, and he started.
manipulated into
Yeah,
prostitution.
stop it! Just don't do it.
A wee bit later, like moments later, she starts complaining about how she doesn't earn very much. And Sam starts talking to her about the dance school.
Yeah, but a little bit like George McFly. She's scared that to put herself forward, to put herself out there in case she finds out that she's not good enough.
Yes, but Sam thinks that she is. Or he says, what if you are? Before dropping her off at a fancy apartment block.
Yeah, sure, here's the thing. We don't find out, all we find out is that he's here to stop someone getting into prostitution and dying from HIV or AIDS. But he's no idea if she is actually any good.
Well, he saw her dancing earlier.
But how does he know? You look at a dancer, it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit like in any sort of arts or we've discussed before with the stuntman one.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're looking at, it's like you can see someone who's playing a guitar, right? And because you don't play the guitar yourself and they play something that looks impressive and you go, oh, they're really good. You've no idea
No.
if they're professional level. And even if you are good enough, it's not a meritocracy. These arts, it's who you know and a bit of luck. And
I suppose that's right. Sam's perseverance pays off at this point. He gets a peck on the cheek as she...
don't encourage. You have opened the door to the, you've invited the vampire into your house.
Very much so.
What happens now is it's your own fault.
She heads into this fancy apartment block. He leaves, whistling, at which point she sneaks back out and gets into a camper van, which she obviously lives in.
It's a VW creep van, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. As he walked away, it had a sort of jaunty little whistle and a spring in his step, like, easy,
I nailed that.
job done. Let the leaping begin. And also, it's weird. She's lying in this camper van, but she's got a sunroof, and she's opens it up and staring up at the new. I mean, it's a nice shot. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, in New York, I'd be keeping those in the 70s. I'd be keeping those windows, roofs shut.
We get a wee exterior shot to show it's morning.
In fact, sorry, I'm just thinking there, it'd be a good Naked Gun moment if she's looking up there and a bird shits in her face. That's how the scene ends. Anyway.
Anyhow, yes, like I said, we get an exterior shot to establish it's the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And back at the club, we see Mario loudly telling Diana that Rod has instructed him not to let her dance at parties. Or I think he says, told her that she's not interested in dancing at parties, which she says he had no right to do.
And as he's doing this, I think he is decanting cheap alcohol into more expensive bottles. I think that's what he's doing there.
He apologises to her and says, but he's already cancelled the bachelor party to allow Sam to do his repeat gig.
And then he offers her a loan, but I think she declines when she understands how he would like it paid back.
Yeah, not in cash.
No. Instead, she speaks to Valerie.
Well, I've written here he's gone full Weinstein.
Yeah.
So she shakes her head, goes over to Valerie, and she refers to Mario ironically as a real sweetheart.
Now there's this naivety here. She obviously thinks that Valerie is far more trustworthy.
I love the phrase she comes out with. She wants to make enough in tips to survive the winter.
Well, I mean, in that
No
van,
drama there at all. Valerie offers to book her in for something and a loan, but she says no to the loan.
yeah, just give me a dancing job. And when she leaves, we see Valerie raise a victorious eyebrow at Mario.
Yes. I think they're just business partners, those two.
Yeah, they're both involved in this...
prostitution ring.
Yes.
In Sam's dressing room, Al shows up and Sam is practicing sign language, as we heard at the top of the show.
Before he's shown the sign for quantum leaping.
I believe that's actually the sign for magic jump, but it's not far off.
Yeah.
Sam asks Al for information about Joanna Chapman, who's the woman in white with the dance club.
Yeah, as he thinks he is there to get Diana a job at her company.
Made this up.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was critical earlier on, but I suppose if you are looking for... She needs to do something else rather than prostitution.
Yeah.
And she's clearly...
This is a school. How is she... I suppose...
Well, it's a company. It's not a school, it's a company.
Well, she calls it a dance school.
Yeah, but I think she also refers to it as a company.
So it's a paid position.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to pay to do.
No, you join it if you're good enough, and then they'll train you, and then you'll perform, you put on shows.
What do you live on? You get money?
When they put on performances, you'll get a salary.
What do you live on in between the performances?
Well, that's prostitution.
Okay. Diana comes to the door and gives Sam a massive slap in the face, prompting cheers from the watching audience.
Yeah, she rightly tells him that he can't speak on her behalf, and also that the only mistake she made was allowing Rod the bod to walk her home. At least she's learning.
She's now quite explicit. She says, "Stay away from me," and I'm sure Sam will respect that.
Of course he will, yeah. Back at the supposed apartment, Sam is trying to find her, but is confused when an insistent cleaner denies any knowledge of
I think
anyone
it might be the landlady.
You think so?
Because she's...
No, she won't be the landlady. She might be like the superintendent.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
The manager
I think she's not just a cleaner. I think
Sure.
she's got a bit more information. She knows all about the deaf girl, but she doesn't live in the apartment.
No, where does she live?
In the van.
Of course.
Apparently she's been parking here for months, despite the council having been contacted about it.
And so Sam crosses the street and knocks on her door, where he finds her still angry about his interfering.
How does she know that he knocked on the door?
What do you mean?
She's deaf.
Vibrations.
Okay, we'll accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she reminds him immediately that she told him to stay away, and he, I've written here, like any abuser, says he didn't think she meant it.
He's a terrible person.
He's the worst.
She still thinks he just feels sorry and is patronising her as she's deaf, but he insists that he thinks that she's better than being a stripper.
She says that he strips and there's no difference, which he kind of agrees with.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. Yeah, he can't explain why it's different, although obviously he knows that it's the long-term consequences for her. But he tells her she should audition for Joanna and doesn't accept that he thinks he's better than her.
I think you can dance better than me. Good enough to get into Joanne Chapman's dance company.
I can't dance Joanne.
Why not?
I just can't.
You could try. What are you saying? I don't understand you.
Good. Now you know what the world feels like to me.
Listen, this is not about being deaf. This is about being afraid.
I'm not afraid of anything.
You're afraid of failing.
I can't dance her style.
Yes, you can. I've seen you dance. You're great.
But it's not her style. If I want to dance in Joanne's company, I have to copy her. You dance with her, she's strong and sharp, and she's soft. I don't dance like that. I need more experience before I audition.
How are you going to get it? By stripping at parties?
I'm not a stripper.
Well, you would have been if I hadn't stopped you. Listen. Wait.
Hey, get out of the street!
You said that your senses were sharper, that you see things others don't. Well, I see things too. And right now I can see that you're at a turning point in your life. You can pick a road that goes up or a road that goes down.
I don't know what to do.
Dance at that audition tomorrow.
Are you doing this because I'm deaf?
No, because you're good. Diana, it's okay to let people help you. You don't have to do everything alone.
So they sign agreement and then hug it out.
Okay, but we should talk about what's been happening during that scene. Sam has been constantly manhandling her hauling her around, grabbing her from behind.
Yeah.
At one point, he pins her against a car.
Yep. It reminds me of when people, if there's someone in a wheelchair and you stop them from going somewhere, you physically move them around, it's really unacceptable. It's appalling behaviour.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely disgraceful behaviour.
Yeah.
And she makes a reasonable point about wanting experience before you go in audition for an important job.
Well, that's what we said. Sam has no idea if this is the correct way to stop her, dying from AIDS. He's just guessing at it, and it could well be that she has this audition. She's told she's not good enough, and that sets off her.
Yeah,
well, what else have I
don't know.
got then? I've had my one shot in this town. My reputation's ruined.
Yeah. But all Sam's manipulation pays off in the next scene.
Okay, tell me about it.
Back at the club, we see Diana practicing, and although she's struggling, she encourages Sam to join her, and they dance together, which ends in a kiss.
Yeah, I mean, they've been going for 6 hours, and I did enjoy it's a very 80s feel.
It's like a montage.
Yeah, it was good.
We get another quick exterior shot, and we're at the audition in the Schubert Theatre.
Sam watches from the wings as Joanna invites the participants to impress her. And after the initial routine, Diana has her number called to line back up.
But she doesn't hear and is not able to read Joanna's lips at this point, so she doesn't come forward.
And so Sam has to step forward to the delighted Joanna and point out that she is in fact, she's there.
However, when Joanna gives out further instructions, Diana doesn't see them and is unable to process them.
No, I think they're told that after they do their next routine, at the end they have to improvise.
But she didn't get that instruction.
No. Why doesn't Sam just tell Joanna? By the way, she's deaf, so take that into consideration.
Well, yeah. She doesn't want people to be told about that. It's not his place to tell her. It's her place to tell her.
No, but he's interfering with everything else, so this isn't... is this the line he's not going to cross?
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
that would be rude and disrespectful.
No, see, she's already made an arse of it here by not informing her, and he's had to save her already.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for him, she would have been out. So he needs to, at this point, say to Joanna, she's deaf. She's really good, but she's deaf. So
There's an odd bit here where Al shows up and says this isn't going to work, but he's not given any alternative ideas.
he doesn't have any information from Ziggy as yet.
No, he has. He gave him all the information. She's going to die of AIDS and stuff.
No, but that's the outcome. That's not there's no... He's not saying she has to do X, Y, or Z instead.
Yeah, no. There's no suggestion from Al.
Yeah.
Normally, it's like, you should do this, and that. Sam's like, no, that's not the right thing to do. I'll do this.
I mean,
but in this case, it's like, Sam's doing this, and Al's just like, nah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, there was the whole thing about, it's important she goes back to college, and I think that's fair in this case, because dancing, as mentioned, isn't a meritocracy. It can be a short career, and I'm sure that there's many of them are ended shortly by injury and things like that.
As he often does, Al warns Sam about getting too involved, but it's far too late.
Of course it is. About 3 seasons too late.
Yes, and as you anticipate, Diana messes up the end of this improvisation period by not improvising, and we kind of see things from her perspective. It goes silent, and you just see folk kind of trying to yell at her. And
yeah, we get this nice point of view shot, and she's about to run off, but Joanna brings her to the side and asks her why she stopped dancing.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. She's deaf.
Deaf. Can she understand anything I'm saying at all?
Well, yes, if you speak clearly and slowly and to her.
You didn't understand my instructions? Did you know this was a professional audition?
Oh, here it comes.
You are such a lovely dancer, and I'd really like to give you a shot. But we move very, very fast here, and I just don't think I have time to give you the attention you would need. I'm sorry.
Look, this is my fault. I should have told you.
I don't think it would have made much difference.
All right, people. Take a few minutes to think about the combination.
You were right, Al.
Sometimes I hate being right.
I'll get right back to you. Arthur, bring me those cards.
Sam realises at this point that Diana's run off.
Yeah, she is now at her van, which is being towed for numerous driving offences. She's pleading with the cop who threatens her with jail when she tries to, when she grabs his arm. Obviously she can't hear
what he's saying, yeah.
see what he's saying, yeah, and he thinks that she's being physical.
But she doesn't mention that she's deaf.
Again, say, I'm sorry, I'm deaf. And I'm sure the cop, as soon as she starts talking, will understand that.
But he doesn't.
Well, exactly, so she should say.
She gets a ticket anyway, and a bit of time passes. Sam shows up, but he can't find her.
And it's important, we find out here that the fines for the van are, was it £200? $200.
Yeah, they've been adding up over time.
Yeah.
At the club, Val has an escort job for Diana.
Diana is now homeless and desperate. And Valerie says, yeah, I've got some work for you. It's not dancing, but it's a date for a friend from out of town.
She says the guy's good for at least $300 and maybe more if he likes her.
And also, it's just this one time. All she's got to do is provide a little fun. And this persuades her to accept.
She's also persuaded to take a $100 loan from Val to buy a new dress and some shoes because she can't show up the way she is.
That's a good point. If you're spending £300.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't mean yeah. What?
If I'm spending £300 for a date, I want her to look good.
Well, if it's an escort, I suppose.
Yeah.
The club phone rings and Val answers it just as Sam arrives. Diana's now left. She tells Sam that she's not seen Diana and that she's not dancing the parties because Mario is good for his word and has a deal with Sam.
And so Sam walks over to the bar where he finds Otto.
Brilliantly just undermines everything that Val just said.
Oh, Diana, she was talking to Valerie just 2 minutes ago.
Literally a minute ago. Al shows up and asks if Sam's thinking what he's thinking, which is what Al's always thinking.
What's that?
She's away to be a prostitute. Sam says he is, and then, having said that out loud, has to cover with Otto.
Yes. He then purposefully strides over to Valerie.
He starts manhandling her now.
Yeah. And demands to know where she is. I think he also asked for her surname.
No, he asks Otto for the surname. That's why he has to cover, having spoken to Al out loud.
Now, she initially denies lying to him, but after he grabs her, as you say, she tells him that Diana was upset and needed a job, and that he would be the last person she would want to know.
She explains it was just a date and she was helping Diana out, but Sam says, no, it's prostitution. Al, at this point, is able to get Diana's location and Sam runs out. Val says something and I couldn't hear what she was saying.
I don't know, but Al also confirms that in the future Valerie is arrested for prostitution.
I think it's in the past.
Oh, is it the past?
I think she's got a record.
All right, okay.
But she says something as Sam runs out and I couldn't work out what she said. I listened to it 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Can't remember.
Catch it. In the hotel that Sam's headed to, we see Mullet Man.
No, sorry, you're talking about... okay, so Valerie's not that bothered about this reference to prostitution and merely reiterates that she was doing Diana a favour and is not ashamed of what she does. Sam doesn't argue, but instead asks her if she would do it again if she could go back to the first time. And this seems to sort of strike a chord, but in the end he doesn't need her help as Ziggy has got the location on Diana and they head over to the hotel room. Can Ziggy be that specific? I think
sometimes he can.
He gives the exact number.
Yeah. This seems to be a bit fluctuating.
Right, okay. So we're at the hotel.
Yes, and Sam knocks the door and Mullet Man answers it.
Yeah, that's a sleaze from earlier on who denies Diana is there and threatens to get security.
Sam forces his way in nonetheless because Al tells him that she's in the bathroom.
Yeah, but before that, he tries to call his bluff and claims that Diana is a minor. But the sleazebag says, what are you talking about? She's 19. She's an adult in this state.
Yeah.
Ah, damn it.
He's done his research.
And so, as you say, he pushes past him to the bathroom as security is called. He finds Diana getting ready in front of the mirror, and she understandably is not happy to see him or to listen to his advice.
Don't do this.
What I do is none of your business.
You made me go audition, I failed, and you can't fix my life.
You're right, okay? But I'm gonna be gone soon. Maybe tonight, or tomorrow, or the next day. I'm gonna be out of your life, but you're not.
one time, okay?
Yeah, until the next time when you need food or a place to sleep again.
Well, you sell your stuff every night.
I sell an illusion. It's not me.
This is all I have left.
No, that's not true. You've got your talent.
This is the only talent they want from a deaf girl.
That's a lie. That's a lie, and you know it.
This man is harassing the young lady. When I asked him to leave, he refused.
You lying dog.
Is that true?
Come on, Diana, just say no.
Miss? Miss?
No, it's not. My friend and I were just leaving.
Atta girl.
So Diana chooses the lesser of two evils at this point.
Yes.
And in the corridor, Sam tells her everything is going to be okay. I don't know why you would think that.
No, as he puts an arm over her shoulder. Yeah, and gets right
that's
into her.
basically she's conceded the situation. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants.
I mean, as you say, how does he know? All he's done here is stopped her from becoming a prostitute
That night.
But even if he's put her off doing that, it doesn't mean to say that she's suddenly going to get lots of dancing gigs and become successful. She might. She's still homeless, and she still owes money to Valerie. I'm sure Sam will give her the cash to pay that off, mind you.
Well, maybe.
Or maybe we should have seen that as well. Or maybe it's a bit too much. She hasn't done it for herself then. You know, him giving a night's wage to her to get her van back and set her up, but then that's a little bit, maybe a bit, her not having her own agency or whatever.
Well, I don't think they really care about that too much though.
No, clearly.
Anyway, we head to the jazz school where Joanna's teaching her class. Or training her troupe. I don't really know how you want to put it.
Yeah, I mean, Rod the Body returns to the very thirsty Joanna. And after she apologises for what happened the day before, he asks her for a second chance for Diana.
At this point, I think he's trying to manipulate her based on the fact that she found it difficult as a black woman to get her business up and running.
Well, yeah,
and he's trying to leverage that against Diana's deafness.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. Because she's saying, listen, this is a professional dance company I've got here. I can't afford to be giving anyone a job on sympathy or just give them a crack when there are other people perhaps just as...
And Sam doesn't have a solution for any of the issues that she brought up at the audition.
No, I thought for a second that he was going to have to prostitute himself.
Well, I thought he was going to have to join the dance troupe himself and basically act as a go-between.
Yeah.
But no. He says, she just needs a chance, and that's what she gets, because a wee bit later we see her in her red dress that she bought to prostitute herself in, dancing for Joanna, and Al notes to Sam that she's terrific. The song or the score that she's dancing to, it reminded me quite a lot of the Moonlighting theme. Right. In any case, everyone is impressed with her. Oh, it even goes to slow-mo, it's so good. Yeah. When she finishes, Joanna playfully slaps Sam in the face for almost letting Diana get away from her. And Al confirms that she makes it big as the lead dancer and finishes high school. He then does the sign language for Quantum Leap, and Sam exchanges some kind of signal with Diana. Yeah, but just before that, there's a nauseatingly saccharine moment where Joanna and Diana embrace each other and promise to learn and teach each other. Oh. Like, I'll teach you about change, and I could change. And as you say, at this point, there's a little signal between each of them, and Sam leaps with a smile. Yes, and he arrives in a club as a pianist. Immediately tries to take a break, but a woman comes over and asks him to play a song called Somewhere for her. And he gives it the oh boy, and that's the end. Mm-hmm. I've noted that he needs more training on getting the attention of deaf people. You can't just go hauling them around from behind. No, they don't like that. Apparently not. As you found out. I won't make that mistake again. There's not much of a comeuppance for any of the bad guys in this episode. They'll just carry on with what they were doing. Move on to the next. We didn't see the prostitution ring. I mean, they will continue to do that. Yeah. Sam's not solved that problem at all. No. I suppose that's good, isn't it? He's not trying to put the world. He's only here for this particular person. Yeah. Did you enjoy her dance at the end? It's alright. Did it inspire you? No. Do you feel motivated to go and watch ballet?
No. Flashdance?
The greatest movie in the world?
No.
No, that's Footloose. No.
I do like a bit of Footloose.
I've not seen it.
You've not seen it?
It's referred to in one of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, watch the original, not the new one.
What's the one that's got Kevin Bacon in it?
Footloose.
Okay.
I love the intro with all the feet dancing. I should try and do it. Breaking my ankles.
Yeah. I can't think of any dance movies that I've really enjoyed. Oh, West Side Story. I like that.
Yeah.
Both the new and the old version. Any other thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, just as we said, Sam being Sam again.
Incorrigible.
Yes.
Al mailed it in this week, didn't he?
Didn't do much at all.
He didn't have any ideas, he didn't have any suggestions.
Nope.
He just showed up a couple times and said, oh, that's a bad idea. Oh, she's going to be a hooker.
Yeah.
AIDS. And that's him.
So,
This originally aired then, if I can get into the trivia, on the 20th of March 1991. Was directed and choreographed by Debbie Allen, who also played Joanna in the episode.
oh, she was the director, yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
This is the first of 2 episodes that she directs for the show. In real life, she's also a dancer in real life, as well as being a director. She's a dancer and choreographer and has choreographed the Oscars on a number of occasions.
Really?
Yeah. She's maybe best known for her work on Fame, which brought her to public attention, but she's also directed for shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Twilight Zone, How to Get Away with Murder, and she's appeared on things like SWAT, The Love Boat, Grey's Anatomy. She's still active. She's 73 now. The episode was written by Paul Brown again, 9th of his 13. Go back to Kamikaze Kid to hear more about him. Mario was played by Louis Mastillo, his only Quantum Leap episode. He's also in The New Adventures of Superman, Seinfeld, The Sopranos, ER. Still acting, now 64. Val was played by Heidi Swedenborg. You recognise her?
I did, yeah.
She's maybe best known for her roles in Galaxy Quest and Seinfeld. She was a
Yeah.
recurring character in Seinfeld. She's also appeared in, I think she died in Seinfeld from licking envelopes. She's also appeared in Murder, She Wrote, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, ER, amongst other things. And she's now 57. Her last screen credit was in 2010. Since when, she's been touring with her band, Heidi Swedenborg, and the Suki Jump Band, where she plays the ukulele.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
Otto was played by Robert Schuch, his only Quantum Leap. He's also in Father Dowling Investigates, Married with Children, and Babylon 5, and he died in 2012 when he was 63. He was 63 in 2012. That means he was only 40. So that's, about the age I am now. The woman in Red, who was Joanna's friend when she was dancing at the club, was played by Marguerite Pomeran Derricks, who is, this is her only Quantum Leap, but she's another well-known choreographer. She worked on Fame with Debbie Allen. She also, though, has gone on to work on many other major productions, from Austin Powers movies to Striptease and Showgirls in the 90s, through to The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Glow more recently. This is one of only 3 shows that she's actually appeared on screen for, after Fame, which she was in for its full run, and she was in an episode of Blunt Talk in 2015. She's still active now in her early 60s. Diana was played by Rondi Berrio, her only Quantum Leap. She's not really got much of an on-screen resume. She's now 57 and works as a health, wellness and fitness pro in California. The creepy guy was played by Henry Warrenitz. It's his only Quantum Leap. He's also in Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, Frasier, Seinfeld and Ally McBeal. He's also still active at 69. The woman cleaning the apartments was called Winnie, apparently. She was played by Melinda Cordell, her only Quantum Leap, perhaps best known for her recurring roles in The Nurses and The Young and the Restless. She died at the age of 74 in 2015.
Cordell, was she related to the Maniac Cop? Doesn't matter. Carry on.
Officer Arden, who's the one that was towing away the vehicle. We never heard his name. I don't know how we know he's called Officer Arden. Must be in the credits. This is his only Quantum Leap, but in his self-penned IMDb bio, he describes himself as a black Woody Allen.
Okay.
He's appeared in shows including 24, ER, Star Trek Voyager and Seinfeld, and he's still active. Frank Novak played a character called Lou, who might have been the security guy that came to the hotel room. Anyway, he's only interesting because he was also in a lot of interesting shows that I liked. Criminal Minds, Mad Men, ER, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's now 78, but he hasn't appeared on screen since 2012. Trivia?
Go for it.
Second time Sam has leaped directly from 1957 to 1979, and on this occasion it's the same date as last week's episode, October the 6th.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting. As I mentioned, Debbie Allen and Marguerite Derricks worked extensively together on various iterations of Fame, the original and then the TV series and so on. Rondi Berrio, who played Diana, is actually deaf in real life, And given that when a deaf actor is cast as a deaf character nowadays, it's still remarked on. That must be fairly progressive casting for 1991.
But she's also a dancer as well, I think.
A health and wellness.
No, that's what she is
worker.
now.
At the time, okay, yeah.
I think she was a dancer at the time.
In terms of things that we learned about, Sam's never met any deaf people before. Anything else?
No.
No. On this date, so I've got Pope John Paul II visited President Carter at the White House. And Leonid Brezhnev was visiting with Erich Honecker in East Berlin, where they shared their iconic socialist fraternal kiss. You may have seen the meme or the images of that on the 7th of October.
Well, I've got something with a little bit more gravitas.
More gravitas than Brezhnev?
Yep. Lex Shrapnel was born.
Okay.
He was an English actor who played the Minder in the reboot of Minder. Alongside...
Not even the original Minder.
No. But we've discussed him. I think we might have mentioned him before.
Okay.
He is the son of John Shrapnel, who played Professor Grauman in Jonathan Creek, the Omega Man.
Oh, okay.
And is therefore an ancestor of General Henry Shrapnel, where we get the term from shrapnel. I think he invented a bullet or something.
That didn't retain its integrity.
Yeah. Number one in the States was Sad Eyes by Robert John, and in the UK we had The Police with Message in a Bottle.
Next week we have Piano Man, where Sam has to evade an assassin intent on gunning him down. So we'll see you in 1985.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye bye.